guys at the street now, they have dealers at the street.
I smoke cigarette, smoke weed, SK, Arizona.
Some they take it to use it to walk, as in some when they take drugs, some they used to feel as in they will feel the enough strength.
So nowhere now where you go where you no go get drugs.
From taking these drugs, they are going to suffer serious sickness and they are going to die soon.
Substance misuse is a major risk factor for mental health.
Madness is a term used to describe serious mental ill health. The term is also synonymous with insanity, lunacy, or disease of the mind. Like other sicknesses among humankind, the malaise of madness exists in every clime and it has diverse causes. But the predominant belief in Africa, however, is that madness is caused by evil spirits. Consequently, when a person becomes mentally ill, family members and friends recourse to spiritual methods to try to deal with it. The question, however, is, do evil spirits really cause mental ill health? Secondly, what is the correlation between substance abuse and mental ill health? These questions are at the heart of the subject matter of this documentary. Pursuant to finding answers to the question of substance abuse and mental disorders in Africa, the documentary examines perspectives in traditional, religious, socio-cultural, cosmic, and scientific issues related thereto. We will proceed by briefly reviewing the story of Femi Aladdin. Aladdin, now late, was once able-bodied, of a sound mind, and had a fulfilled career in the army. As a tradesman, his regular duty was driving operational trucks. Those who knew him testified to the fact that he acquitted himself creditably on his duties, but was often beside himself and a bit brash. He had a family, and in his career rose through the ranks to become a warrant officer. No one seems to know exactly where his wife and children are presently. It transpired that Aladdin had a substance abuse problem. The problem may have started when he was still in the army, but it increased at discharge. With relatively good gratuity, Aladdin set out into a life of heavy consumption of alcohol. Alcohol brought him merriment. The merriment made him desire the company of jolly good friends. Each time he met with them at their numerous rendezvous, which he kept faithfully and religiously, his friends and himself used alcohol intensively and smoked very hard. Aladdin and his company of friends smoked and used whatever substances came their way, from cigarette to cannabis and a local gin fondly called ogogoro. They also consumed local brews like pito and brukutu, amongst others. Aladdin soon became completely dependent on psychoactive substances. As time went on, he sought and abused other substances while his system developed chronic tolerance. At some point, Aladdin lost all he worked so hard to earn, material possession, and worse, his mind. His bevy of friends soon deserted him. Then he became sick. His sickness was a disease of the mind, or so it seemed. He begged for alms about, crawling on bare buttocks and threadbare attire between the terminus, Tafa Balewa, and Ahmad Bello Way areas of Jos. So sad still. Whatever he received in alms, he spent on alcohol, tobacco, cigarettes, and other drugs. Brukutu, the local brew, stirred his spirit for a while, but the pangs of his torment remained with him. Aladdin once muttered away absent-mindedly in response to a question about where he was from. But his drowned, sonorous voice could hardly pronounce Ibadan. Ibadan is the capital city of Oyo State in Nigeria, and that is where he was originally from. There are many of Aladdin's type in several parts of Africa, men and women suffering from mental disorders due to substance abuse, but whose parents, relatives, and others in society believe are suffering from such disorders because they are being tormented by evil spirits. Till this day, many traditionalists are either speculative or convinced that no one could ever become mentally ill except the person is under the influence of sorcery, necromancy, bewitched, or under a powerful spell. Another African belief associated with mental disorders is that it is hereditary. In other words, it is believed that madness is genetically transmitted from parents to offsprings. Such postulations of traditional belief system handed down from past several generations, though unproven, remain very strong and are difficult to discard easily or discountenanced. It follows that many people would not turn their backs from consulting an oracle if their relatives suddenly became mentally ill. Many more would resort to traditional methods for cure because they are convinced that African treatment offers more efficacious results. Odile Bassey, who originally trained as a development economist at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, in the United States, and the University of London, is presently a phytomedical practitioner. He argues that there is no scientific proof to the fact that evil spirits could cause mental ill health.
Not scientifically proven. But that does not mean that evil spirits do not exist. They exist, but how do we scientifically prove them? It's difficult. It's difficult. But you see that what are hereditary? That is, your forefathers must have done, that actually continue. That's why I said that evil that men do, live after them.
Nonetheless, he submits further that madness or a disease of the mind can be cured phytomedically.
One of the ways to reverse them is, first of all, show love to these people. They're human beings. Even animals, when they see love, they see love. If you are doubting madness can be cured, provide me a mad person, change the person in the meantime. I will provide the person the vital nutrients. These vital nutrients will calm the brain down, repair the damaged cells, bring in the what I call field marshal body defender. And field marshal body defender will clean all the toxins, because what the person has been consuming are toxins.
Again, the question is, do evil spirits really make people mad? The foregoing notion is just a part of the puzzle. To further interrogate this puzzle, Ayodele Ajaibe, who is the lead clinical psychologist at the Federal Medical Center in Abuja, alluded to the African belief.
We can't actually talk about mental health and without looking into the spirituality aspect, because as it seems, we seem to be very, very religious in this environment. Many people believe that there is nothing around us that is not spiritual. We believe in the gods. Even in one of the theories of psychopathology, the demonology, they believe that an individual having a particular illness indicate that there is, the person is possessed by a spiritual being or an evil being. And if you could, think back to the old form of treatment, we discovered that one of the form of treatment is beating the person, boring a hole in the person's head with the belief that when you make the body uncomfortable, the evil spirit will leave. So, and they throw the person in maybe in an asylum or, neglect the person. But when treatment comes in, Filipino and other professionals in the past, without even profiling treatment, keeping this individual in a clean environment, keeping this individual, under the right form of management and treatment, we discover that the person gets better. So what we are trying to say is that there are some issues, there are some illnesses in the past that have been associated with spirituality, but they are not extremely spirituality. They are all symptoms of a particular mental health disorder. And one of the major risk factors to mental illnesses is substance use.
Chief James Uket, an Uget chief and retired director from the Cross River State government, very strongly proposes a correlation between cosmic forces and the lunatic circle.
There's a correlation between lunatic circle, the movement of the oceanic waters, and heavenly bodies, the moon. When the moon is up there, it actually affects the tidal waves. It affects oceanic movements. People who have unstable minds, during the moon, when the moon is high up there, it has a way of affecting them and bringing their insanity high up there, almost to the peak, or they got to the peak of their insanity, especially when the moon was up there.
On her part, Grace Ruben Etuk, a professor of sociology at the Department of Social Works at the University of Calabar, offers a socio-cultural explanation and remedy for mental illness.
Substance abuse is a major contributory factor to mental health problem. Although many people, especially in Nigeria and the rest of Africa, have not come to see it that way. First of all, these substances, when taken without doctor's prescriptions, they alter the mental states of individuals. And when such alterations become prolonged, they can deteriorate into mental health problems. One of the things that could be done to save the situation is to re-educate the people, to get them to realize that mental health problem is not different from any other health challenge, and that help is available.
Spiritual explanation of mental disorders in a world dominated by faith, supernatural convictions, and religious persuasions and sentiments cannot be so easily discarded with a wave of the hand. The verdict of the Archbishop of Abuja Archdiocese of the Catholic Church, His Grace Archbishop Ignatius Ayao Kaigama, who is also the president of the Catholic Bishops of West Africa, speaking on the subject, espouses spiritual issues in mental disorders.
Yeah, there are physical causes to insanity, certainly, and medical or scientific explanations are there. Any mental health issue can be explained medically or scientifically. It is the village way of thinking to say every illness is caused by fellow human beings.
His father collected a loan from a childhood friend to enable him to pay his wife dowry, giving a plot of a land as a collateral. In that course of his birth, his father sold the same plot of land that has been used as a collateral to pay up his hospital bills and never pay up his friend the loan. That is why Philip is mad.
I think we should distance ourselves from that and embrace modern health services. Many people have died, and you can see in the village they tie up somebody and they start flogging him and can almost kill him. We have seen old women being harassed and terribly violated because they believe that they are the cause for this death or that mental condition of somebody, and so on. There is no connection. The evil spirits have their duty, I know. Jesus spent a lot of time trying to cast out evil spirits. Yes, we don't deny the existence of evil spirits. But as a Christian, I believe my powers derived from God Almighty, and through the Holy Spirit and the powerful influence of Jesus, I can overcome any evil spirit. That is my belief. Evil spirit is just evil. God is almighty, omnipotent.
The Archbishop advises people to rely more on scientific methods of diagnosis and treatment of mental health disorders rather than depending on African traditional means.
I am emphatic in advising our people that the sooner they experience any unusual behavior or development in a child, in a young person, even in adults, they should go for checkup. And we have checkup in different forms. The psychiatrists offer checkup, the psychologists offer counseling and support, and we should not ignore this.
Furthermore, he counseled victims of drug addiction not to give up hope over their drug-dependent situation.
Once you start taking drugs of every kind, any kind, you know that you are heading somewhere. I know a group in one place I have been, and they are into this terrible drug taking. First thing they do in the morning is to assemble and begin to take whatever they were taking. But they were aware that this had a very horrible consequences. They were aware. And one of them said to me that when they meet, they greet themselves as if they were dead. Because they know that from taking these drugs, they are going to suffer serious sickness and they're going to die soon. So one of them told me when they meet, they chat among themselves, they say, "Good morning, late David. Good morning, late Peter." They are regarding themselves as already dead. So that's why they append the name late to David, who is alive. He's taking the drugs, but they call him late David, because they know that late David is soon going to die. And so I was quite impressed that they could even realize that they are already dead people walking, dead people sitting there, dead people alive. They know this. And I don't know what pushes them to still go for it every day.
In a similar slant, Rafatu Abdul Hamid, a professor of Islamic studies at the University of Abuja, who is also the coordinator of the Center for Gender Security Studies and Youth Advancement at the same university, has this to say about mental health disorders.
When we talk about madness in Islam, it means a kind of disorder that affects the physical, social, cognitive, emotional, and behavioral abilities of a person. In Islam, there is this belief that madness is caused by evil spirits. I think we share that same idea. In Islam, there is the belief, or Muslims believe, that one of the causes, because it's not all the causes, one of the causes of madness is the activities of the evil spirit. Evil spirits are capable of, inflicting madness on humans. Let me also mention here that Islam believes in these three inseparable aspects of man. And when I talk about these three inseparable aspects, I'm looking at his physical nature, that is his biological aspect. Then it also looks at his psychological aspect, the emotion, his thought, and so on and so forth. Islam looks at what? His spiritual aspect, meaning that these three must coexist before we have somebody who is regarded as mentally alert. Islam believes that without mental health, a human being cannot exist and cannot assume responsibilities. In Islam, don't forget, responsibility is only levied on people who have sanity. Insane person means that he cannot assume any responsibility, be it spiritual, be it social, or even family responsibility. Islam does not consider an insane person to be responsible.
The African position on mental health disorder is contrary to scientific evidence. As it were, the drug menace in Africa continues to exacerbate, as more and more younger persons embrace the drug habit. For most of these young people, the illicit drug culture is a rave they are enthusiastic about and are excited to be associated with, even openly. The responses offered by some youth found on the bended end of our streets express how illicit drugs pump and set our young people afire. For instance, Moses openly admits the abuse of a drug called Arizona, which is supplied by peddlers on the streets of Abuja. He says he takes the drug all the time to help him calm down and enhance his performance at work and other activities.
Like normally they obtain maybe those like in the streets like this. Like the people that do the dealers. If you want to buy it now, you can't just go there and buy it. You have a person that do sell it for you. Like me now, I don't take drugs, but if I do smoke. If it's loud, if it's Arizona, if it's smoke. But I don't take cigarettes. I do smoke. If you smoke, yeah.
Another regular young man on the Lagos street in Garki, Abuja is Jude. Jude is from Ebonyi State. He said he started smoking marijuana, Colorado, and Kush because of his friends and the environment and circumstances in which he found himself. According to him, the use of these drugs, which he obtains from different bongs around Abuja, help him and many other young persons to forget their state of depression caused by homelessness and unemployment.
I was not really taking it. I not been taken before, but since situations when they come at hand and places where environments where I meet myself, so I started joining some kind of friends. I saw myself being addicted to it. That was how I started. I can't do a day without smoking. I don't even count how many times I smoke. More especially cigarettes. So I can just come one food day, I might smoke maybe 10 packets, I don't know, because I don't count it. This morning now, till night, I don't know when it will stop. If tomorrow is still reach, I'll still continue.
Stephen is also from Kaduna in Nigeria. He admits being hooked on several drugs like Arizona, SK, Rufinol, codeine, and marijuana. He said the drugs, which can be obtained in several parts of the city, give him strength to work at construction sites. According to Stephen, several young people feel cool when they use these substances.
You can buy it anywhere. They sell it anywhere. They never say me, I like the way me I take them, but sometimes problem, you figure some problem. So to let that worries go, if I just go now, if I buy cigar now or I buy weed draw, my mind go just calm down, I go just settle down. I go start to the reason. And so all the problems where they worry me, all the worries where I get, I go just forget them myself. I go see everything don't go.
The prevalence of substance abuse in our communities continue to spread like wildfire among the youth. Nehemiah Henry, another young man from Kaduna, admitted being a drug dealer and says he started abusing illicit substances since he was 10 years old.
Number one, I'm a drug dealer. I smoke cigarette, smoke weed, SK, Arizona. Nobody taught me of taking it. I started taking it right from 10 years at home. Nobody know. I started smoking standard.
The more people, especially adolescents and young adults, take to drug culture, the more cases of mental ill health appear to be emerging. The situation is there with a myriad of sociological and health consequences. About 65.5% admissions into mental health institutions in Africa today point to drug addiction. Drug addiction, as it were, is a neurochemical dysfunction. Neuroscientists consider the mesolimbic system of the brain as the action site of addictive substances. It is in this site that emotions and pleasure reside. Within that brain site is the medial forebrain bundle known as the MFB, or the pleasure pathway. This pathway runs from the side of the brain known as ventral tegmental area, VTA, above the pituitary gland called the liberal hypothalamus. From there, it connects the nucleus accumbens up to the frontal cortex of the brain. All experiences of pleasure, including sex and orgasm, licking sweets, kisses, and drug use, among others, are conveyed to the medial forebrain bundle through the rising of other parts within the cortex, going on to tickle the mesolimbic system. There are up to 50 chemicals known as neurotransmitters in the human nervous system, which convey signals between nerve cells in the brain. One of such neurotransmitters is dopamine. Dopamine is associated with pleasure. It has been scientifically proven that its insufficiency in certain parts of the brain can produce tremors, paralysis, and Parkinson's disease. On the other hand, too much of it in certain parts of the brain could result to hallucinations, thought disorder, insanity, disease of the mind, or madness. The urgent craving for drug is also associated with dopamine. The consequential action of heavy addiction is obvious everywhere in an addicted mind and impacts on molecular, cellular, functional, and structural areas of the human body. Dr. Motunrayo Oyelohunu, a consultant psychiatrist at the Federal Medical Center in Abuja, throws more light into this.
Mental illnesses are disorders of the brain. They are disorders that affect the way we think, the way we act, as well as the way our emotions are. So if you look at the definition, simply I've broken it down, but what it means is that it affects our cognition, our emotions, and then as well as our behaviors. Several substances of abuse, they are all psychoactive substances, and when we say psychoactive, that means psycho has to do with the mind, mental processes. Not that somebody has run crazy the way people describe it. So psycho, because they have effect on the brain, they have effect on the nervous system, the central nervous system. And we have several classes of them. Some of them are stimulants, some of them are depressants, some of them are hallucinogens. What that means is that they are able to, the stimulants, as the word described, they stimulate the nervous system. The ones that are depressant have the ability to depress the nervous system. And the hallucinogens can produce alteration in perceptions. So people can hear voices, they can start seeing things that other people don't see. And when I say hear voices, they hear voices of people they cannot see, and they may have other alterations in their perception in other sensory organs. So when we see all of these things, we know that something is wrong. The people who are with them also see that something is wrong. So we can see how substances of abuse, psychoactive substances, can produce symptoms of mental illness.
Joseph Okegbe, a former chief medical director at the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Calabar, who is also a consultant psychiatrist, succinctly draws a parallel between substance abuse and mental disorders.
Drug use and addiction is a mental health issue. In as much as a lot of individuals look at them as social miscreants or social misfits, they are mental health issues. Mental illness is not spiritual attack because it is very stable. Schizophrenia as an illness is very stable and constant in terms of prevalence across the world. In other words, we have 1% of the world population that suffer from schizophrenia. So because of the stigmatization attached to it, people don't want to appreciate and understand that mental health issues are medical conditions that can be, can have very good outcome if there's a quick and fast intervention by the professionals.
So it is a reality that government must give serious attention to. They must invest in mental care issues. They must train more personnel, and they must remove those causes that create these mental issues. Because when a child is not properly looked after, next thing is either drugs or cultism or violence. When there is a fight here, who are those that are actively involved? Those on drugs. They don't care. Whether it's their father, mother, a neighbor, or whoever, they don't see again. They don't rationalize. They don't think. And therefore they are ready to set fire here. They are ready to attack this person. They are ready to kill and destroy. Government must take this seriously.
The position of experts on the matter is clear. Scientific evidence certainly far outweighs fetish speculations, primordial arguments, and assumptions that evil spirits are responsible for mental health disorders. How can we fault the opinions of the medical experts? The good news, as the experts have concluded though, is that there's a cure and hope of recovery from mental illness.
Their treatment, and people are recovering. People are recovering every day for substance use. For some people, it is easy. For some people, it's a significant struggle for them, but it is not impossible.
Just like you can have a bone fracture and consult an orthopedic a doctor who can help you, that people can also consult a mental health professional to help one out of mental health problem.
But staying away from substance abuse would, however, most definitely minimize the chances of mental ill health.